Yes. Welcome everybody to the MrBoxingguru podcast. It is me, Sal, MrBoxingguru. Don't mind the little side effects. I'm trying something new. Might throw a little balazos every now and then. Because watcha. I kind of like this app. Sas. Shout out to Arturo Gotti. Yes, so underline. Sabe que será. But again, welcome everybody to the MrBoxingguru podcast. I never touched these buttons. I had no idea what they were for. Now I'm trying them out and let's see how they work. Again, this is going to be my second podcast of the year. What are we now? April, going on May. And again, my second one. I've been very busy. Life's a mother. And I said true paisa, you see, I just wanted to check in, make sure that everybody's good, I'm good, and there's some stuff to talk about. I think I mentioned it before, there's I don't want to say health issues, but health issues. I have like nasal congestion, my nose has been crazy, I just moved to a new place, and I've been working on my yard, my house, whatever. Nose is feeling a little better. Hopefully, we're going for surgery in about a month, and hopefully we're back to normal. But anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about boxing. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of just weirdness to talk about in boxing, and boxing never fails. Let's get to the biggest chisme, the biggest gossip that's been around. Again, if you're gonna listen to this podcast for boxing news, you're not gonna get it here. What you are going to get, we're going to talk about the state of boxing, what's going on in boxing, what fights are not being made, because let's face it, anything that us as boxing fans want to see, we don't get. So let's talk about, first things first, the biggest gossip, the biggest drama that's going on is Ryan Garcia drops out of his fight versus Fortuna. And part of the issue is that he claims mental health, that he has to take care of his mental health. And you know what? I'm one of the ones that, look, mental health is a serious thing. I think many of us have family, and it's new to us, but many of us have family members that now suffer about it, and I'll be one that'll tell you I'm very brute about it. I never believed in it till I seen it, with my own eyes, till it hit a family member. But I've always been like that type of person that says, you know what, fuck it, fuck your problems, work harder. Fuck your problems, figure it out. I get it, sometimes that's not the case. But in Ryan's case, I call bullshit. I'm sorry, I said it and I'm sorry if I'm not sensitive enough like most of boxing Twitter. I'm not gonna be the one to sugarcoat shit. I think he's full of shit, and I think there's more to it than it's being told to the boxing fans. I find it very almost dishonest, and I think it's very conniving, almost, you could say, because Ryan didn't want this fight. And I'm not saying Ryan is scared of Fortuna. I think Ryan will do great versus Fortuna. I think that's a good. I think the fight is being picked for him because I think Golden Boy and friends know that Ryan could be Fortuna, but at the same time they know that he'll not struggle, but he's a good fighter. Fortuna's a good fighter. He's a good opponent. He's not a guy that he's just going to go starch and get out of there and go on about his day. The thing is with Fortuna, he's not a very popular fighter. So that's the reason why Ryan and team really didn't want the fight. And Ryan was very vocal about not wanting this fight. So what does Ryan go and do? Ryan claims mental health. And this is, again, and it's tough because it's tough. But somebody's got to be the asshole here. Somebody's got to call bullshit. Again, mental health is something you do not play with unless it's some real shit. It could very well be true, but I just don't believe it. One of the reasons why I could look at an angle and say, you know what, this is true, is because just the kid might just be tired of carrying the whole family. He's the only one that works. He's the only one that's paying for whatever's going on in the household. His dad's playing inventor, fucking putting a a garage spring on a speed bag and making people hit it. That's some shit that you do in your 20s, your 30s, maybe even your 40s. Not when you have a family to support. So yes, Sir Henry, you are one lazy son of a. You know what? Just leave it at that. But my thing is that this kid is carrying the family. He's carrying the load. It's got to be a lot. He has children. He has his own family, extension of his family that he has to deal with. But he now has to be responsible for all these folks. So yes, they can cause him stress. I can see that. I just don't believe it. I just don't think it's enough. I think he's being rewarded financially very well. I think he has lucrative, as he calls it, contracts with Golden Boy that have been renegotiated so many times. Personally, again, this is personal. I don't know the ins and outs with Golden Boy, but I think this is a tactic to try to renegotiate his contract yet again, because I think this is his third, fourth time. So it's almost like a domino effect. It's like the boy that cried wolf, where you could talk shit so much where people just don't. I don't care. I think I'm more interested in Ryan's family drama or drama on YouTube, Instagram, wherever social media you follow him, than his actual fights. I know he's a good fighter. I know he's very quick with his hands, and I know he's a very marketable kid. But I'm not really like, anytime he fights, I'm not really gonna pay attention. I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna be that guy that goes for the beer run while he fights. Because I'm really not interested in his career, but the whole drama behind him is fucking great. This is awesome. What I don't understand is the hypocrisy in boxing, in boxing media, in boxing sanctioning bodies, in boxing fans. Where 1 minute you're roasting this fucking kid, and the next you're like, oh my god, we pray for you, so mental health. Blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking believe it. I don't buy it. Like I said, I think this is another one of Ryan Garcia's way of saying, hey guys, I need more money. I got another 100,000 followers on Instagram. I deserve to get paid handsomely. Personally, if I were Golden Boy, and I think they from what I've seen on Twitter and whatnot from Golden Boy and Oscar, they're pretty much playing his game and saying, you know what, yes, mental health is crazy, and we're with you, Ryan. Yay, we're with you 100%. What I think Ryan is wanting to do is either A, get more money, or B, lesser the opponent for the same money he's going to get, or C, just get out of his contract. And I think at this point, he's costing Golden Boy more money than they're really getting off of him. And he has to understand the ripple effect, because he's not a main event. Now there's guys that Golden Boy are developing that were counting on being on that undercard, that unfortunately are not going to be on that undercard. Why? Because Ryan decided that he needed time off, that he was being stressful, while at the same time drinking a Mai Tai somewhere in fucking Hawaii with his whole family. The family that fucking stresses him out. So that's why I don't understand. I don't get. I don't get this whole Ryan drama. I don't believe it. Like I said, when it comes down to it, you want to wish the kid the very best in life. One thing is trolling, but one thing is lying about mental health. I think, again, mental health is a serious thing. I don't think he is suffering from anything, from any type of mental issues. I think it's just a spoiled fucking brat. And I'll say it here, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it after. Ryan is a spoiled brat that just trying to dictate his contract. And like I said, maybe he's right. Maybe Golden Boy should make him a pay-per-view guy. Again, pay-per-view doesn't necessarily mean an attraction, but take him to Thriller. And maybe that's what he wants. He sees the J Pauls or Jack Pauls, whatever the fuck their name is, make money with very little talent, but make money based on his popularity. So why not gamble with him? Put him on Thriller. Fuck it. Why not? Put him against a lesser opponent. let's see those people that actually want to pay to watch him. Let's see if he does generate that type of money. Because I personally think that's really what he wants. It's about money. I don't think Ryan is worth as much as he thinks he is. But if he thinks he's worth those $10 million or whatever he thinks he can promote himself, then so be it. I mean, if his boss is doing the thriller thing, why not? Or trailer the thriller? I don't know what you call it. But so what? Let him do it. Why not? All right, man. Enough with that. Again, at the end of the day, if he is a little cuckoo, blame his parents. Let's take it to this weekend on ESPN, and I think portion of the card was on ESPN Plus. Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete defends his WBO featherweight title against Chris Pitufo Diaz. And man, you know what? All right, we all know Navarrete won. Vaquero Navarrete won, a weird, ugly fighter, but he has his way to win. He's like a more robotic Margarito. He does shit that, like, Margarito would do certain stuff, but Margarito was just a little wide. And that's funny because I'm kind of shadow boxing here in the background while I'm doing this. So he'll kind of square up and just, but Margarito had a great jab. You know, he knew how to create openings. Navarrete is more of a, he's a bit more jittery. He's bouncing, then all of a sudden he's throwing a punch, and he has this weird, like, uppercut that he throws. It's like a lead uppercut where you're maybe expecting a left hand or a right cross or maybe a different feint, but he has this weird way of feinting where he just catches you with an uppercut that comes from at least 6 feet away, and that's the almost beauty to Navarrete. It's not pretty to see. Now, on the other hand, Pitufo, God, my respect to Pitufo. The Puerto Rican folks should be very happy. They should pick his fights a little better for him. But God, is he a hell of a warrior. I think his other flaw in his record, I think, was versus Shakur. Great fighter. He showed the biggest set of balls that you can imagine, and what pride should Puerto Rico have. I think this. I was thinking back on the Puerto Rican Mexican wars when I was watching this. I'm like, man, these two nations just deliver greatness. Anytime you put a Puerto Rican, it's very rare when you don't get a great fight. Even at the lower levels, when you don't get a great fight when you put a Puerto Rican versus a Mexican, it's just fireworks. I think they have the biggest heart and balls out of no one. Out of any nation. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm Mexican. It's just we create beautiful fights. This was no exception, and like I said, I've always been I want to say a detractor of Emmanuel Navarrete because of his style. Again, I don't think it's a very pretty, I guess you would call it, style. It just, but fuck, is it effective? He's not much to look at, but what he ends up doing to his opponents is just amazing. Again, this fight, he won in the 12th round. I didn't think he was going to get the knockout after all, but he ended up getting it very close to the ending of the fight. Before going in, I thought he was going to take it under 9, and he almost did, but yeah, that was a brutal fight. And kudos to Pitufo Diaz's corner. Pitufo Diaz, at the end, they threw in the towel. They had seen their guy had enough. I have no criticism over it. Maybe I would have stopped it a little earlier, but again, it's hard when you're in the moment. You want your fighter to finish the fight, but even if there was only seconds left in that fight, I'm glad they stopped it. There's no reason for Pitufo to continue to take that type of beating, especially when he was already down because of the, I believe, what was it, like 2 knockdowns and a point that was deducted. It was a close fight. I mean, most of the rounds went for Navarrete, but the fight was very close. It was a very competitive fight. Now, what's next for either? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, Navarrete, I mean, there's so many other fighters in, maybe the PBC way. You got Daniel Roman, that would be great, but the problem is, then again, we get into politics and it's not an easy fight to make. I don't see why Heyman would want to not make the fight, because I think Heyman will make more money off of fighting him off of PBC with Fox and Showtime, and throwing him over here to ESPN for Daniel Roman. But I mean that essentially is a fight to make. We'll see how Daniel Roman does this weekend. Again, kudos to ESPN. I like to knock not ESPN. I'm sorry, Top Rank a lot. I like to knock everybody. But when they do things right, you have to call a spade a spade. I think what happened this weekend, the card they had this weekend, with all the Puerto Ricans and whatnot, and the Great War at the end, I think was one of those cards that just put a smile on your face. You don't, at the end of the day, you don't need care of the Mexican one or the Puerto Rican one. At the end of the day, what you got was a great card, and I think that's commendable, especially for the co-main event, because we found out that Berlanga no vale verga. Berlanga was a legit guy. One of my knocks with Berlanga was that, yes, he's a stud, man. He's a big kid, 168 pounder, that could crack, that was knocking everybody out with one punch. I just thought it was nothing to see because he wasn't going round, so you don't really appreciate it. It's almost like that guy you'll watch the highlights of his fight. You're not gonna sit there and wait for it. It's because it's under 3 minutes. He's gonna get him out. He's gonna get his opponent out, and that's it. Not the case this week. They actually put a live body on him. They put a guy that gave him plenty of rounds. I believe it was 8 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. So that in itself was great. Berlanga knocked him out a few times, but he kept coming, and he gave Berlanga a great fight. Look, I think it's the best thing that could have happened to him. Yes, we saw a lot of flaws in him, but what prospect doesn't have it? The good thing about him that I saw is that, one, he could go rounds. 2, there's a lot of improvements that could be made. The kid is in love with his power, but he needs to throw more than 2 punches, because he almost feels like, okay, I have enough power to knock you out with any hand, so he's gonna throw the 1-2 and just stare at it, and that just doesn't, to me, it doesn't work. You gotta. You gotta follow it up with something, and he didn't. So that's my biggest knock on him. I think, is he a superstar? And I'm making absolutely. He has the connects outside of boxing. I think he has the ability. He has a country behind him. I think Puerto Rico is in dire need of a star. I think he's it. He's an East Coast kid. He speaks both languages, and dude's a stud. Again, I'm really looking forward to watching more of Berlanga. It's just you can't say his name without saying some sort of Mexican joke in the background. So, all right, man. So that's it for this week. Let's talk about the previous week, because, like I said, I haven't done a podcast in a while. I think the previous week deserves some sort of attention, and let's do it, because we had the YouTuber guy. What was his name? Jake Paul. Jake Paul scores a knockdown over what was it? Ben Askren, some dude that looks like my fucking 3rd grade science teacher. Just a little Jufro, or I don't know what you want to call it, because it's just like a little so glow curl perm thing. Yeah, Ben Askren, right? That's his name. And he's doing a pay-per-view. So this is where I guess I'll go back a little. This is where I think what Ryan thinks he can do, because he sees guys that are very popular on social media. He thinks he could do the same. Anyways, let's go back to it. Did I watch the event? I watched some of it. Afterwards, I saw some people like streaming it on Instagram, and on Instagram Live. Of course, I clicked and liked and viewed it and then I got the replay of a lot of the stuff. Did I like it? Nah, not necessarily my thing. Is it cool? Am I mad about it? Of course not, man. Look, he's not fighting. Kid is 3 fights in. He's not fighting anybody. I don't want to say with a pose, but anybody that's a professional. But neither is he. He's doing the exact same thing that all professional fighters do as they develop into their career. The only difference is that this kid, Jake Paul, is under the microscope. He's trolling everybody at the same time he's developing himself as a legitimate fighter. And maybe he does do it, maybe he doesn't. The fact of the matter is a kick a crack based on normal people, I guess you could say. He's knocked down. I mean, this last kid, I think he had hip surgery. The good thing is that he had that title at one time of being a professional athlete or professional combat sport guy. He did, fight before, this Ben Askren before, just not, as a boxer. But again, you could always switch it up that, you know what, all you're not doing is using your feet in this. But look, I'm not making any excuse for him, but at the same time, I don't want to overknock this kid, Jake Paul. I think he's I don't want to say he's helped. Well, yeah, maybe he's helping because he was able to secure a fight for the Rigoro, which is good. So there were some boxing in the event. So anytime you get to throw, maybe a younger fighter in the undercard, something that gets promoted as such, so be it. It's cool. I like it. I don't mind it. As far as the telecast goes, people were talking shit because Oscar was drunk. And I feel like there's a double standard with Oscar in boxing. We've always known Oscar De La Hoya as a guy that had his monsters like I think like everybody else. But more than anything, he's always been a very straight arrow guy. I mean, you talk to him, he tells you exactly what you want to hear. Even today, is promoting himself now with this fight that he wants to do on Triller. He's telling you, okay, yes, I'm gonna fight the best, and that shit catches on. I think most boxing fans, a lot of the boxing fans that even listen to me, they know that's not gonna happen. But the fact of the matter is that he's telling you, so he's promoting himself. He has the ability to do that. He has the ability to make the average person believe he's going to do certain things. The ability to promote himself, the ability to tell a story. You see? And I think Oscar is very talented in that aspect. Oscar has the credentials that he has done all those things that he's saying he's going to do again. Is he going to do them again? Absolutely not. But it's cool to hear him talk. And I guess I'm going kind of off topic here, but what I'm saying is that Oscar has always been a professional. And Oscar's, yes, we know his monsters, but also anytime Oscar, curves away from the norm, we're quick to judge him. Whether it's, him, with the whole, ladies of the night or whatever, he got caught with. Or, wearing fishnets, that stupid shit never gets old. It does get old, I'm sorry, but it never stops. The whole cocaine thing. I mean, it goes on and on. But those are, again, those are like 4 things that you could tell. Well, meanwhile, this guy won, 10 world titles. We never talk about that. Why? Because it's easier to talk shit about somebody wearing fishnets. We never talk about, all the, like I said, the 10 titles, the different, 6, 7 different weight classes. We never talk about the positive because it's too cheesy to talk about the positive when there's so much or there's so little negative that we have to make fun of it. Now, I guess what I'm getting to here is that anytime Oscar fucks up, it's going to be amplified. People are going to knock it. People are going to talk shit about it. Oscar got a little drunk. I get it. He was drunk. But why not? If you see me at the fights, you're going to see me, you're going to watch me, see me, hear me slur more than Oscar was, USSR. You're going to hear me say more, ratchet shit than Oscar was saying. It happens. You're drunk. He was there to have a good time. This wasn't a very respectable event that happened on Thriller. It was just shit, a freak show, and everybody knew it. The weed was there. The drinks were there. So what? It happens. That was the whole purpose of Thriller, Triller, whatever you call it. It was to have fun. Snoop acted a fucking fool too. Is anybody knocking Snoop for acting a fool? No. Why? Because it's fucking Snoop. But Oscar does some bullshit. Oh, fuck. Let's crucify this motherfucker. It's not fucking fair. What I'm saying is that people feel that Oscar's an easy target, so let's go after him. Give the guy a break. Let him have a little fun. We all fucking do it. We all do freaky shit. We all participated in quote unquote, and I'm doing my air quotes here, extracurricular activities. Or why be that guy that throws a stone living in a fucking glass house? All right, what else? What else we have? Tyson Fury versus AJ. Is it done? Who cares? Does anybody really care? At least here from our U.S. Following, or maybe some of my guys from the UK, but here in the U.S., we don't really care. I mean, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, okay. At least, my casual fans don't. I mean, look, I love the fight, but I hate the whole updates. Oh, this week, we have, we got fucking Middle Eastern money now. We got this, we got that. If you guys don't have it, so what? Be it. Let's move fucking on. If these guys don't want to fight, fuck it. Let the guy that actually wants to fight. But speaking of heavyweights, that's a weird transition. And yes, like I said, speaking of heavyweights, we go to this week to the StubHub. Yes, the StubHub. Watch, let me throw a balazo there. Damn, StubHub. Give me a clap for the StubHub right quick. Give me a clap for the StubHub right quick. Just a small one. Oh, I said a clap, not a pinche laugh. There you go. That's for you and your mighty StubHub. There you go. You deserve a StubHub. StubHub has fights again. If you're not a local guy, you can actually watch them on pay-per-view. I believe they lowered it down to the low price of $50. What the fights used to be about pre-pandemic or some shit like that. Pre-Floyd. Chris Arreola fights Andy Ruiz Jr. No, this is not back in 2010. They're actually fighting. Chris Arreola, God, you know what? Me being a big guy, me being a American-born Mexican, I've always been a fan of Chris Arreola. He has a mouth like I do. Shit, he's fucking built like I was. He's a big dude. Mexicans usually aren't that big, and when they are that big, they're fucking fat. That's me. Always was a big fan, but we have to be honest here. I mean, he hasn't fought, 2 years? Last time he fought his heart out versus a guy named Kanaki. Gave what I think was his last great hurrah, even if he lost. But I don't see this. I almost see this Andy Ruiz fight versus Chris Arreola as much as a freak show as a Jake Paul fight. It's that one-sided. At least with Jake Paul, he's an up-and-coming guy. We didn't know he was actually fighting a UFC guy, so we didn't know what type of opponent he really was. Here we know Chris hasn't had legs and since Klitschko took him away. When was the last good fight you saw? You saw Chris in. Last time Chris was looking good was back in the HBO days, and that's been a while already. And even then, because PBC had already gone to Showtime, so I think it's been a good 5 years since I've seen Chris look remotely normal. Maybe even more, maybe 7 years. I don't remember the last time Chris Arreola won. Isn't that bad? I mean, he got embarrassed by Wilder. Wilder was just there, just toying with him. What do we think that Andy is gonna do? don't be surprised if this fight ends in the first round. I get it. That's what heavyweights are supposed to do, but not be surprised. I'm expecting Andy to just go in there and do Chris a favor and get him the fuck out of there quick. So don't let this not be an accumulation of punishment for Chris, because Chris doesn't deserve it. You know, he's 40 years old already. 40 in Mexican is like 60 in white or something else. Remember, we eat bad, we're diabetic, and we're just all bad. Again, I wish this fight would have been done a lot, sooner. Now it's not the time, unfortunately, anymore. I see Andy. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight it ends in in the first 6 minutes. If it lasts 6 minutes, I'll be fucking surprised. Of course, you got the Fundora fight versus Cota. You got Lara that horrible on the eyes. Let's see who else you got in that card. Omar Figueroa is in the two. Granados in the card as well. Javier Molina, which is a good local kid. It's a good card. Look, I'm one of PBC's biggest detractors, but I'll be the first one to say, you know what? If I had my COVID shot, and I would go to this fight. I don't think it's, and with the capacity being scaled down, I don't think it's a bad seat. If you have the ability to go to StubHub and if you're okay being around, more people, knock yourself out. Go for it. Go watch a fight. Especially here in SoCal, the weather's going to be fucking amazing. Go for it. Pay-per-view, again, same thing. You got an extra $50, fork them up. I don't think it's a pay-per-view fight, but it's an event. Sort of like the Thriller was. It's just fun to barbecue. The weekend's going to be great. Go ahead and do it. I'm not a big fan of this being a pay-per-view, but shit, who am I to tell you not to buy this pay-per-view if people went out there and bought that Thriller fight? Buying that Thriller fight lowered the bar really on pay-per-view, where people that bought it or promoted this fight, we have no right to tell people not to buy a fight like this one with Arreola and Andy Ruiz. So yeah, that's that. Let's one more thing that I do want to talk about before we leave. I did, I like to go on Instagram, and I should do it more on Twitter as well. Like, just ask me any questions. I'm an open book, and to certain things. Personal shit is personal shit. But any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So let me take a look. The first one was, and this from Israel Luna. Fucking guy, I love this guy, man. I don't know what the hell he does all day. But I always see him hiking and boxing, and he's not a pro. Well, he is a pro. I guess he had 2 fights already, but that shit ain't normal. That guy's a fucking stud. Anyway, Israel Luna asked, "What's next for Triple G?" Israel Luna was a very, he was a big Triple G fan, and I forgot who I was talking to the other day, but we talked about Triple G. Triple G was everything that was right about boxing a few years back. I would say 5, 6, 7 years back. He wanted the belts, and he wanted to fight the mandatory, so he was busy. HBO had him going, and he had a great career. Then it came to a point where he started just chasing Canelo down, and it was fun because Triple G to I would say to us 80s babies, or whatever you want to call it, to anybody from the demographic from 25 to 45, we enjoyed Triple G because we were not used to these type of fighters, at least not of recent history. So we enjoy what he did. He called out fighters. We enjoyed that he tried speaking Spanish. We related to him, or at least he I don't want to say he conned us into believing him, but he was very good at making us believe, and it was fair because he was fighting the fights. He was, whoever they put in front of him, he was getting rid of, and eventually, little by little, the competition started getting tougher. And towards the later part of his career, the knockouts didn't start coming, and again, the fights were completely they were tough. There was no way to go back, and that's understandably so. But now it's to the point where the guy doesn't speak doesn't even try speaking English, much less, Viva Mexico, a Mexican style kind of shit. He became everything that everybody hated in boxing, which was that guy that didn't give the next guy an opportunity. Look, I'm not Demetrius Boo Boo biggest fan or a fan. I mean, I'm using the word fan loosely, but that guy, as ugly as a style as he has, if he has a belt and Golovkin has a belt at 160 pounds, and they're both in the same network, these guys need to fight each other. They deserve to fight each other. I don't care the fight is boring. These are two championship fights. You have to go through those type of fights as a champion to move forward, to be able to just get that shit out of your system. Would he beat Boo Boo? I think so. Would he be fucking ugly? Yes. But at least he fought those type of fights. And you get to move forward. But the avoidance, within the same network, it fucking bothers me. Because we get enough shit where people saying, oh, yeah, this guy's in the other side of the street, or this guy's over here, this guy's over there, we can't fight. Those excuses, even if they're horrible excuses, I get it. But when you're in the same network, when you're both in the zone, you both don't have fights, and you're not fighting till the end of the following year, that's a big problem to me. So you become the same shit that you hated coming up, and I think that's what Golovkin's it's gotten to. And I hate it because I'm a big fan of Golovkin. But I also, I have to call a spade a spade. I think it's bullshit what he's doing. I think he's just sitting down on his big contract from DAZN. I don't even think DAZN is fulfilling it, because for the same reason, he's not fighting any type of fights. And he doesn't generate the type of buzz that he did 5, 6, 7 years ago, pre-Canelo. So that's damn, I'm on a rant. Israel, what's next for Golovkin? I heard Murata overseas, but that's not to the end of the year. So that's just a whole year of inactivity for Golovkin. Again, get the Boo Boo fight out of the way. Get that shit out of the way. Get the Munguia fight out of the way. Can he beat both those guys? Yes. Get them out of the way. Then you have your big fight, your unification fight, even with the fucking ring belt. Do that type of shit. Let's see who else got something to say. Lee Rios says, question, can you talk a little about Chepe Reynoso? Just curious to know what happened to him. Look, I hear a lot of shit, but when you hear shit from other people's mouths, most of the time it tends not to be true. What the rumor that I had heard a few months ago was that there was a fight because Chepe was the one orchestrating most of the deals for Canelo with Golden Boy, and because all that shit went south, there was a problem within the family between him and his son, and therefore Reynoso or Chepe, ended up going back to Mexico while his son, continued with training camp here in San Diego. The PR version of that is, Chepe is a little older, and with COVID being around, you don't want to risk him and risk his health, especially Mexico being a bit more clean, especially if you have the luxuries of staying in your home, and I'm sure Chepe lives in a freaking mansion. It's safer for him to risk him getting COVID out here. That's what I think. That's the PR version. Again, whether it's true or it's not, it's completely up to you. You make your conclusion. Whether it was a family problem, again, I don't know. Only the family knows. But I've got more of that information. There was a family issue between them. That's why the problem is there. Let's see. Linux. It's LANIUX. Linux. Maybe Linux, like Lemieux. Says, do you foresee any changes once things open post-pandemic and boxing? Shout out to Linux. Do I see any changes? I think the whole world changed, because whether you like it or not, like I said, I don't have a problem with you wearing a mask. I don't have a problem with you not wearing a mask. I just believe people should respect each other's space. Me personally, I hate wearing a mask, but I know I have to wear a mask. Especially if I go for a walk and my fat ass is breathing hard. I mean, I don't want to wear the mask, but that's why I want to get my COVID shot already. I think I got, what is it, like in May something? I get my other vaccine. Anyway, will things go back to normal? I would hope so. I hope there's some sort of a fix, some sort of normalcy going back into the country, at least here in the U.S., to avoid us wearing these freaking masks, man, because this shit's annoying. I almost dream of the days where I can go and talk boxing at a tailgate, though. That's one thing that I used to do a lot in boxing, and we can do it. I don't want to do it right now because, I mean, COVID's a bitch, and that's someone that, that's big. I don't want to hurt. Let's see, what else we got. Guadalupito says, you're going to be at StubHub in these coming weeks. There's a bunch of fights at StubHub. Again, it goes back to this whole vaccine thing. Again, not to get political, I'm not going to be there. I'd rather be, stay home, watch it. Again, if you guys have the ability to go. If you guys want to go out there and you guys got your shot, or even if you guys don't, whatever. If you guys want to go enjoy it. I think it's going to be. We have a couple of beautiful weekends in May and in June, so enjoy stuff, guys. If you guys can, and if you guys are vaccinated. Pilt_P says, who wins? Who's winning, Ramirez or Taylor? You know what? I really like Ramirez. I like what he brings, the fire, the dog that he has. I think it's great. But I think Taylor is a little bit better than him in every single way. I think he's more composed. I think he's stronger. I think his whole boxing IQ is a lot better. Yeah, I just farted. It's a lot better. I'm going with Taylor again. Ramirez has that great corner with Robert Garcia, and I think Robert doesn't teach the fighters anything out of the ordinary. You come with them, you already have your jab, you already have your hook, you already have your right cross. You come as a complete fighter. The great thing about Robert is he has great game plans. He knows how to follow certain game plans, and he knows how to exploit, each and every fighter that he fights against. So he brings the best version of that fighter to the fight, and I think that's never been different. Whether it's with Mikey, look, guys. I mean, bullshit aside, look with a guy like Robert Garcia did with Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios, man, look, I'm probably one of Brandon's biggest fans, and I understand that what Robert did with Brandon, not many people could do, because Brandon is and again, no disrespect to him, but I feel like he's a club fighter. He's that fighter you want to see. He's like a pre-Gotti, he's just a warrior. He's a guy that likes to fight, but those type of fighters don't fight elite fighters, and if they do, they're in between fights. And Robert was able to give Brandon great game plans where he could fight those type of fighters, where at least he had a fighting chance versus those type of fighters. So again, what matters, I think Taylor's going to win, but having Robert Garcia in that corner by Ramirez, it's really, really tough. Chef J-Lo Lopez, Chef Lopez 7 says, ¿Por qué es tan puto el Brian? And I think we talked about this already. Look, man, that kid is the ultimate privileged kid in the world, and I think it's been difficult for us, the people that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and maybe even early 90s to grasp, to understand where all this bitchiness comes from. But we have to understand that it's just a different generation, and I'm sure that's the same generation that those folks that were born in the 60s and 50s and 40s felt about us. Is every year nos hacemos más putos, and that's just life, man. We have to learn how to accept that. We have to learn how to live with it. We have to learn how to understand it. Like I said, when I heard the news about Ryan pulling out of the fight, I was fucking pissed. I was like, and not pissed because, oh my God, Ryan's not fighting. I'm pissed because the opportunities that are missed by those guys in the undercards, the guys that are trying to be the next Ryans, the guys that are gonna get only $10,000, $15,000, $5,000 to fight. They don't have that opportunity now. This is a pandemic. Why? Because somebody has quote unquote health issues while they're in Hawaii. That's a fucking problem. Let's see. Somebody else asked, why do you hate boxing? Sometimes I get that a lot. It's not that I hate boxing. I think it's the complete opposite. I love boxing. I think I'm that guy that doesn't watch any other sport. The only thing I watch is boxing. As a kid, I grew up, playing and watching baseball. But as I got older, kind of hid away from it. I think when you're a young kid, you stop watching it, and eventually you start watching baseball again. And I still do it once in a while, but very casually. Boxing, on the other hand, I love boxing because of the stories. I love boxing because of the access you get to these fighters. But more than anything, the stories. If you guys ever have the chance to go to Vegas on a fight night, please do so. I think anybody that's in boxing, with the exception of maybe the Canelos and maybe the Floyd Mayweathers, is very accessible. Is always there to shake your hand. Is always there to hear your story, regardless of how drunk you are. They're there, and that's something that you absolutely cannot get in any other sport. Whether it's a boxing manager, whether it's a fighter, a up and coming fighter, and you could always relate to them. That's the thing in boxing. Unlike football or baseball, not everybody's 6 foot, 250 pounds. Not everybody's almost 7 foot like in basketball. In boxing, there's one person, one fighter that somehow, some way resembles you as a human being, whether it's a Mexican fighter, whether it's an Asian fighter, a black fighter, a white fighter. There's always something or somebody came either from your neighborhood, that's a fighter, and you could somehow relate it. Again, it's not that I hate boxing. I love boxing. And I feel that passionate about it that's why I complain so much about boxing, because I know how great of a sport it is. I know how much of a great sport it can be, and I know the potential that it has. Let's see, who else? And I'm sorry because I'm maybe ranting a little too much, and I do apologize for that. Let's see, I thought I saw one more. Oh, shit, there's like 5 more. Okay. ZG Boxing asks, ¿Cuántos tacos te chingas? He's pretty much saying, how many tacos can I eat? I could eat more tacos than most of your fighters have losses, bro. So that's a lot. Shout out to my man ZG. Good guy. He has his we call him the ambulance, and the reason why we call him the ambulance is because he carries nothing but dead fighters. So most of his fighters are either been through it all, are going through it all, or eventually will, because they're really not that good. Shout out to ZG, good sport. He always lends a good ear. So big shout out to him. Let's see. Kumaro says, Navarrete versus Shakur, who wins? You know what? Let me go on a quick rant about Shakur. Shakur is quick to call out Jamel Herring. Shakur is quick to call out Oscar Valdez. But the minute that Navarrete says, I'm going to your weight class, I'm going to 126. What did Shakur did? He jumped up in weight. I don't even think he ever defended that belt. I think he won the belt, a vacant belt, and then he jumped away, and now he wants to piggyback off of the great fights that Jamel Herring and Oscar Valdez have fought. Look, I have no problem with young fighters challenging older fighters, fighters that have already done it. But I also think as a fighter, I think I really think Shakur Stevenson needs to fight those type of fights. He needs to go through the same demons that Jamel went, the same demons that Oscar Valdez went, in order to have that opportunity to fight him. Look, I think Jamel Herring and Oscar Valdez have, I think they both have a handful of fights, and I'm saying that very respectfully. So I think they're getting to the point where they deserve to fight like fighters. Like them two, like Oscar Valdez and Jamel Herring, go for it. And throw in the ring belt. That's a unification fight. They fight for the ring belt. They fight for leniency. For Lenio belt, I'm sorry. I love that fight. Shakur needs to fucking fight other fucking fighters. Shakur, you're absolutely right, Camaro. Shakur needs to fight a guy like Navarrete. He needs to go through the same demons that both Jamel and Oscar went through. Let's see. Artie Quesada says, "Estás a dieta?" In other words, he says, "Are you on a diet?" I don't want to say a diet, but me and my family, we've all entered this weight loss thing, and you know, look, man, we're only getting fucking fatter, we're only getting older, and I think it's for the best. So we all put a couple of bucks in, and whoever wins, you know, gets the pot, you know, by what is it, next holiday, Memorial Day or some shit like that. So that's it. So yeah, I've been busting my ass out. I've been walking. I think I put a mile marker of walking 50 miles this month. Again, you got to think about it. 50 miles for a guy that weighs in almost 370 pounds. That's a lot. I'm down about 10 pounds, but, you know, here we are a month ago, so we'll see how much we lose. Guys, that is it. It's almost an hour. I don't think I've ever done a podcast for almost an hour. We didn't talk about much, but we talked about everything, and that makes some sort of sense. Again, thank you guys so much. This has been the MrBoxingguru podcast. See you guys later.